Hello everyone. I'd like to start our presentation today. Thank you so much for joining. We're really excited to have you today to come and learn more about clean energy. My name is Pakon, and I have our amazing presenter here, Niet. So we work at EnergyLab. Clean Energy Week is organized by EnergyLab, an organization established to support the growth of clean energy market in Cambodia. So before we start, I'd like to thank you, our founding sponsors, Australian Embassy and UNDP Cambodia. And I'd like to thank also to co-funded sponsors, Switch Asia program under Switch to Solar, Heinrich Boll Stiftung Cambodia, Oxfam and SNV. Clean Energy Week, what is Clean Energy Week? And Clean Energy Week is a week to celebrate the clean energy in Cambodia. Clean energy brings Cambodia more jobs, more investments, sustainable economic growth, lower electricity prices, and help Cambodia to be more energy independent. So this year for Clean Energy Week, we have more than 30 events that range in topic and styles. So this year it looks a bit different due to COVID-19, and we have decided to make it to Clean Energy Month instead. So with this event, we will see events with all the way until our expo on December 17th. And we have also taken many events online. So I encourage all of you to look at our schedule on Facebook page, as well as our Clean Energy Week website, and attend as many events as possible. So before I hand this over to Niet, I would like to share you a video that EnergyLab is producing, and it's about clean energy and where Cambodia is positioned right now to be the leader of clean energy in Cambodia.
Nè, ប្រហែលជាមិនបានដឹងទេនៅកំណើននៃធម្មពលស្អាតត្រូវបានកសាងក្នុងល្បឿនមួយដ៏លឿនជាងពេលណាទាំងអស់នៅក្នុងពិភពលោកនេះមិនមែនគឺជារឿងដែលគួរឲ្យភ្ញាក់ផ្អើលនោះទេពីព្រោះថាតម្លៃនៃធម្មពលស្អាតកំពុងតែធ្លាក់ចុះហើយវិនិយោគិនកំពុងតែសម្លឹងឃើញនៅឱកាសល្អៗដែលធម្មពលស្អាតកំពុងតែផ្ដល់ឲ្យហើយនេះយើងមិនទាន់បានរកបញ្ចូលនៅផលវិបត្តិផ្សេងៗនៃឥន្ធនៈ fossil ផងដែលវាកំពុងធ្វើឲ្យពិភពលោករបស់យើងក្តៅជាងមុនធ្វើឲ្យគ្រោះធម្មជាតិកាន់តែធ្ងន់ធ្ងរធ្វើឲ្យពិបាកក្នុងការធ្វើកសិកម្មធ្វើឲ្យពិបាកក្នុងការធ្វើដំណើរនិងធ្វើឲ្យពិបាកក្នុងការរស់នៅរបស់ប្រជាជនក្នុងពេលបច្ចុប្បន្នយើងដឹងហើយថាធម្មពលស្អាតគឺមិនល្អឥតខ្ចោះនោះទេព្រោះថាព្រះអាទិត្យមិនចេះតែចែងចាំងគ្រប់ពេលហើយខ្យល់ក៏មិនបក់រហូតគ្រប់ពេលដែរប៉ុន្តែប្រទេសកម្ពុជាស្ថិតក្នុងជំហរមួយដ៏ល្អប្រសើរក្នុងដំណោះស្រាយបញ្ហាប្រឈមទាំងអស់នេះយើងមានទំនប់វារីអគ្គិសនីធំជាច្រើនដែលអាចដើរតួជាអាគុយដើម្បីផ្ដល់ថាមពលដល់ទីក្រុងរបស់យើងនៅពេលដែលមិនមានពន្លឺព្រះអាទិត្យនិងខ្យល់បក់លើសពីនេះទៅទៀតសប្តាហ៍ថ្ងៃនេះយើងក៏មានបច្ចេកវិទ្យាផ្សេងដែលអាចជួយយើងឲ្យយកឈ្នះលើបញ្ហាទាំងអស់នេះឧទាហរណ៍ឧបករណ៍ដូចជាអាគុយកុងទ័រឆ្លាតវៃឧបករណ៍គ្រប់គ្រងពីចម្ងាយនិងយានយន្តអគ្គិសនីប្រសិនបើយើងប្រើប្រាស់ឧបករណ៍ទាំងអស់នេះយើងនឹងមានការផ្គត់ផ្គង់អគ្គិសនីដែលរឹងមាំជាងមុនដែលធ្វើឲ្យយើងមានសមត្ថភាពក្នុងការផ្ដល់ថាមពលដល់ប្រទេសកម្ពុជាទាំងមូលដែលមិនពឹងផ្អែកលើប្រទេសផ្សេងទៀតបច្ចុប្បន្នប្រទេសកម្ពុជាបាននិងកំពុងតែបង្កើតផែនការសម្រាប់អនាគតនៃថាមពលរបស់ខ្លួនផងដែរក៏ប៉ុន្តែរហូតមកដល់ពេលនេះផែនការរបស់យើងនៅមិនទាន់បានអនុវត្តតាមនិន្នាការរបស់ពិភពលោកទាំងមូលនោះទេយ៉ាងណាមិញយើងនៅតែមានសង្ឃឹមផែនការអាចផ្លាស់ប្ដូរបានហើយយើងក៏មានសមត្ថភាពក្នុងការធ្វើអ្វីដែលយើងធ្លាប់គិតថាយើងមិនអាចធ្វើបានកាលពីឆ្នាំ2004បណ្ដាញអគ្គិសនីប្រទេសកម្ពុជាត្រូវបានគ្របដណ្ដប់ដោយឥន្ធនៈ fossil ប៉ុន្តែវាត្រូវបានផ្លាស់ប្ដូរទាំងស្រុងនៅឆ្នាំ2014នៅក្នុងឆ្នាំ2016ប្រទេសវៀតណាមគ្មានពន្លឺព្រះអាទិត្យទាល់តែសោះប៉ុន្តែនៅពាក់កណ្ដាលឆ្នាំ2020ពួកគេបានដំឡើងថាមពលពន្លឺព្រះអាទិត្យរហូតទៅដល់5 GWប្រទេសកម្ពុជាមានអាកាសដ៏ធំធេងនាពេលបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះយើងអាចដំឡើងថាមពលសូឡានិងថាមពលខ្យល់កាន់តែច្រើនបង្កើនការផ្ទុកថាមពលឲ្យកាន់តែច្រើននិងធ្វើឲ្យបណ្ដាញបញ្ជូនអគ្គិសនីរបស់យើងកាន់តែឆ្លាតវៃវាnokមកនៅការងារល្អនិងថ្មីជាច្រើនចររបស់យើងនឹងស្អាតជាងមុនបើយើងស្រមៃមើលថាអគ្គិសនីរបស់ប្រទេសកម្ពុជាមិនងាយដាច់វាកាន់តែល្អសម្រាប់សុខភាពហើយតម្លៃកាន់តែថោកជាងមុន តើអ្នកចង់បានអ្វីសម្រាប់អនាគតប្រទេសកម្ពុជាចូលរួមជាមួយយើងនៅសប្តាហ៍ថាមពលស្អាតនិងស្វែងយល់បន្ថែមតាមគេហទំព័ររបស់យើង
I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions afterward, please comment or chat in our comment box or question Q&A. So next, I'd like to hand this over to Nit.
Thank you so much, Mongpakon, and welcome. Thank you for spending time having the webinar. I'll start by sharing my screen, so please bear with me. If everyone can see my screen, that would be good. Yeah? Okay, perfect. So as you, no, not yet. Okay, perfect. So the screen's up. So as you all know, this webinar is about exploring opportunities in clean energy in Cambodia. And it is being delivered by the EnergyLab team. So yeah, welcome everyone. As you already saw just now, we showed you a video where we were celebrating clean energy opportunities in Cambodia. I certainly hope that it got you interested in this topic before we get started. Before that, I'd just like to introduce myself a little. My name is Nit. I am a project management intern here at EnergyLab Asia, but I'm also a chemical engineer in the making. And I'm very excited to be presenting you this webinar because I'm very, very passionate about sustainability. And this is a way that I'm contributing to that right now. So I hope you enjoy it. So throughout this presentation, I want you to keep one question in mind, especially for AIESEC members. And I think that's very important. And that is, how will this information that you're going to listen to help you make informed decisions as young leaders of Cambodia? Because you're going to be those young leaders. And when you're in the position to make decisions, you will need to make those decisions, whether you decide on the sustainability route or the other routes. So I'd hope that you keep thinking about these things as I present. Here's our agenda for today. Very excited to be talking about what energy is, and then jumping off to clean energy, the different types of clean energy, the energy sources in Cambodia, our trend compared to the global trend, our progress, and finally, of course, it would be a missed opportunity to not connect it back to social development. Social development goals number 7, which I'm sure you all are very familiar with as AIESEC members. And finally, we'll do some key takeaways. By the way, feel free to leave any questions in the chat box. Mongpakon will be monitoring them, and I will be more than happy to answer them in the end after this presentation. If I'm going too fast, please also leave a comment in chat. So before we start, EnergyLab Asia, as already introduced by Mongpakon, we have a global vision of a world powered by 100% clean energy. And we're here to help foster and make that vision a reality, starting by webinars like this, all the way to entrepreneurship programs, etc. You can definitely check more about us on our website and just Google EnergyLab Asia. I promise you, you'll find us and check out our programs. So to start off, I would like to ask you to let me know, what do you think energy is? Maybe you can type in the chat, what you think energy is, and then yeah. Mongpakon, would you mind just checking if there's any chats? Thank you. It's all right. So, well, some of you might already know from like physics in 7th or 8th grade that energy is the ability to do work. And that is the exact same energy we're talking about here. So the sun, that's a source of energy, because the heat and the light from the sun can be converted into electrical energy, which we will be discussing later on today. And these are the different forms of energy in Cambodia, as you already might have seen. So solar, on buildings and rooftops, sometimes you see solar. We see hydropower, and you see, the water coming down, and then there are motors that run that converts that, mechanical potential energy into electrical energy. You might, though, have not seen bioenergy yet. This basically means like Usman, chi vật xa. Vàពេលខ្លះយើងយកដល់ថាជីឬមួយក៏សម្រាមផ្សេងៗដុតបំលែងទៅជាថាមពលផ្សេង That's bioenergy, basically. For coal power plants, you might already know already. That's one of the more common ones in Cambodia. And then you've definitely seen Sokimet, PTT, etc. And these are patrol stations, as you already know. One of our also main source of energy in Cambodia. And finally, there are also oil power plants over here. So now stepping into clean energy, can anyone tell me what you think clean energy is? So we'll wait for a few minutes to see if anyone gets into chats about it. Yeah. Yeah, you can shout it out. Thank you.
Yimin answered it's renewable energy.
Thank you, Yimin. Yeah. Anyone else?
And they have a renewable energy that doesn't harm the environment.
Oh, that's amazing, Virabol. Thank you.
Good.
Perfect. Well, I think that, yeah.
Another answer, sustainable energy.
Sustainable energy. Question mark. That's very good. But these are all ringing buzzwords that we want you to have in your mind. There's more. Okay.
Energy that doesn't harm environment and keep it sustainable.
Sustainable. We're hearing a lot of sustainable. So that's great. Well, amazing. So these are all buzzwords that we want you to associate clean energy with. Sustainable, doesn't harm the environment. It's renewable. We'll talk more about that, but that is clean energy, right? It's renewable energy. It's an energy sources that do not harm the environment, essentially, then are also ideally renewable and sustainable in the future. But another question that I get a lot is renewable energy actually always clean? So what do you think about that? Is renewable energy always clean? Maybe you can type in the chat again and have a think about it. Any so far? Yeah. Yeah.
Answer, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, that is the correct answer. So as you already probably,
and
yeah.
Another one said from Lina, say yes.
Okay. Well, it seems like a lot of people aren't sure. Anyone else? Well, so this is a debatable topic, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard already about conversations around hydropower. Is it really clean? Although it's a renewable energy source, right? The water comes back and it recycles. But it's a bit conflicting because hydro dams can actually put damage to the environment, the water environment, fish, we have community neighbors that surround it. So yes, renewable energy isn't always clean. So it really depends on the types. And these are the questions that we want you to think about as young future leaders, renewable energy, but yeah, is it really clean? Should we dig deeper into this construction, into this project? So that is the big point from this question. So now entering into forms of clean energy that we know. There's obviously solar, and what happens is, we have panels. The panels are put out into the sun. The light hits the panel converts the light into electrical energy or heat energy. For wind, I don't know if you've seen wind turbines, but in Cambodia there are none yet, although there are exciting projects coming up, and I hope you do keep in touch with those projects. These are big turbines. We're talking really huge turbines, up in the sky, very high, spinning. And these turbines are really smart, in fact. It can actually turn to face the wind direction. So essentially, we want to maximize the spinning so that the motor can convert it into electrical energy. And these exciting new projects are actually happening in Bokor Mountain. So if you want, you can Google that as well. Yeah. And the third one is hydropower. As you already know, we have quite a lot of Virya-Kisni. But I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically like, there are dams and you put the water up so that the potential energy is converted into electrical energy via motors as well. And finally, bioenergy, which we have already touched upon. Okay, well now, talking about the benefits of clean energy. So a lot of the times people think clean energy is actually expensive, but that's actually false, because clean energy, well, solar energy itself is much cheaper now at 0.38 cents per kilowatt hour, I'm sure. And so, yes, the price has drastically dropped over the past 5 to 10 years because of technological improvements. You know, solar panels are now more efficient than ever. And we have turbines that are also more efficient than ever. So the cost of these projects are actually lowering now, making clean energy more cheaper than coal or fossil fuel. Secondly, of course, it contributes to the growth of GDP and also local employment. As you know, new projects needs new workers, new engineers, new financiers, well, everything. So it increases local employment and thereby also the growth of GDP. Also, if we take a step back and think about how electricity is so crucial in every industry, right? Our building right now is powered with electricity. Factories need electricity. So it contributes in the sense that if there is enough electricity, if we're self-sufficient, self-reliant, we're secured, and we don't have to import electricity from, let's say, Vietnam or Thailand, then it's perfect. Our industries will blossom and we are more resilient than ever. Otherwise, it is also, of course, environmentally sound. You know, the wind and the sun, they're free, and it just comes and goes, comes and goes. So it's really good for the environment. And finally, it's secured, as I've talked about already, without importing. And it's faster in the sense that coal and fossil fuel projects usually take 5 to 10 years to study because, well, from the engineering background, you know, you have to go to site, you have to study them, etc. But for wind and solar, actually, you just have to monitor and then you put them up, and it usually takes like 6 to 7 months to install. So it's much faster as a project. Yeah. So as for the challenges of clean energy, of course, all things have challenges. They're not all good. We're not perfect. Currently, it's very new. So the integration, it takes time, right? It takes time for our government to get used to it. It takes time for, let's say, the EDC to integrate it into their structure, electrical structure. Third, the perceived cost, as I've already said, it's thought to be more expensive than the actual traditional fossil fuel or etc. So people still think that. So we have to really challenge that, and we have to explain people about that, which is why webinars like this are important, because we are teaching the future leaders about these things. And finally, of course, policies take time. Policymakers need to understand what they're getting themselves into. They need to understand the operations of clean energy. They need to think about investment costs. They need to do, you know, all these things up until they say, okay, yes, we want this, and we need to implement policies to whether subsidize or whatsoever in order to help encourage the growth of clean energy in Cambodia. Now, if we take a look at the global and Cambodia mix trend in 2018, we'll take a look at the left side first in Cambodia. So as you see, 49% of the Cambodia's electricity mix is from renewable energy. And as you might already guess, it's mostly hydro dams, right? And 16% is from imports, so Vietnam and Thailand. And finally, 34% still on fossil fuels. Globally in 2018, 60% is fossil fuel, and only 29% is from renewables. However, let's take a look at the trend in 2030. As you can see, Cambodia, unfortunately, has decreased from 49% to 26%. This means that on all of our electricity mix, right, even though the demand for electricity is growing, more of that electricity we will be using in 2030 will come from fossil fuel. You may ask, why is that? Well, it's because we're building some more electrical, what do you call electrical industries or companies, like places to mine electricity from fossil fuel, unfortunately. But yeah, but globally, as you can see, because of the trends, you know, the Paris Agreement, where we all agreed to not increase the percentage by 2 degrees Celsius and you know, other local agreements, they will be shifting to renewables, which means from 2018 to about 2030, which is in 10 years, they actually aim, and it's looking like they're going to hit the target of 43% renewables. What does this slide tell you? Well, basically it tells you that we might be we might want to look at the other direction. So because globally we're moving towards renewables, but in Cambodia right now, we're kind of shifting towards fossil. So we have a lot of work to do in order to influence that, to hopefully change that trend so that we're able to shift towards global. And I can touch a little on why this is important and why this is not just a regional or global issue, but this should be a local context as well, why we need to shift towards this global trend. And finally, similar to what I was talking about, in 2050, we can still influence that. Well, you can still influence that because you are the young leaders of Cambodia. In 2050, we're looking at the world relying on renewables by 69%. Think about that, 69%. That is a lot. So I think that Cambodia needs to look at the other way, being more reliant on renewables. And it's in the hands of us to be able to ensure that for our future. Why is that important, as I've asked before? Actually, I would like to open this up for Q&As, actually. So why do you think it's important that Cambodia shift towards the global trend of depending on renewables other than fossil fuel? So if you can take a minute to think and then type some answer, that would be great. So I'll just have a minute. Not yet? Still thinking? Still thinking? Yes.
Chat from Jimon say yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah, great. So why do you think we should shift towards more renewables reliance?
Don't be shy to answer all the questions.
Yeah, no worries. We want to make this
safe place
interactive.
here.
Exactly. We want to make it as interactive as possible.
We have an answer from Tom, say, as Cambodia is particularly affected by the adverse effects of climate change, which come as a result of non-renewable energy.
Amazing. That is a correct answer as well. What about economically speaking? How do you think this affects us? Not a trick question, I promise. Okay, well, as Tom said, the biggest one is, yes, climate catastrophe. That is a global thing. And Cambodia is a part of the global mix. So we do need to think about that. Answer coming in.
From Part 2, say resources are getting limited and we should know the limit of our resources within the country.
Amazing. That is also correct. We won't be able to have fossil fuels or coal all the time and oil because it's limited. And that is correct as well. Economically speaking, it's also very important for us to shift towards the global trend because, as you might know already, companies like H&M are shifting towards renewable, right? So think about it. If we are still reliant on fossil fuel, they would rather shift their factory, right, to comply with these regulations in the EU, in America, in anywhere else in the world, which means, I mean, whether we want it or not, the global trends are the global trends, and we need to understand these effects on our economy as well as our industries. And that is why it is very important for us, not just people working in energy like myself, but also you guys who are going to go out and be, industries leader, who are going to be engineers, businessmen, bankers. So everyone plays a role in this, and you all have a role in helping Cambodia shift towards the global trend of relying on renewable energy. Now, let's take a little look on the regional clean energy progress in Southeast Asia, as we're on it already, to see where we stand. As you can see on this slide, the Philippines is doing pretty well. Oh, by the way, this is megawatts. So megawatts is the unit of power, for those of you who are not used to it. So power is the ability to, is the amount of energy per time, basically. So yeah, so in the Philippines, we see a lot of solar already at 900, let's say, megawatt by 2019. Vietnam is doing super great at like 4,500 megawatt, have a lot of hydropower as well in Thailand. So I think the bigger picture in this is that, as you can see, industrialized countries like Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines are already shifting towards installed renewable energy to match their electricity requirement. Cambodia has the opportunity to do that. And in fact, it is important for us to do that so that we're able to cater towards the industrialization of our country, as well as the future development as our, our job growth, our population grow, everything really. So that is really important for us to catch up, but also hopefully to get ahead. Now, let's talk about local clean energy progress in Cambodia, because I'm sure you're very, very curious now what's happening here. So as you can see here, there are quite a few projects everywhere. There are projects in Kampong Chenang, projects, of course, down near the sea, etc. And one of the bigger ones right now that are looking to happen, for example, is the one on Mokgo Mountain, where Bluecircles, as a wind company, is looking into putting turbines up there. And they're still in the process of monitoring, I'm sure, but hopefully we'll be able to get our first wind farm very soon. Otherwise, companies like Chipmunks are taking steps to install, solar on their rooftops in the companies, in the factories. Total, that Krasang, they're also installing solar rooftops on their gas stations. So yeah, there are a lot of initiatives out from different industries, different key players in different sectors regards to this. Very exciting. And these are the other examples, Kampong Spu, where solar farms are being installed, Kampong Chenang, Bosat, so really everywhere. It's a terrific progress in Cambodia so far, and it really debunks the myth that we don't have good potential, or it's like not reliable, because it is. It is. We are very, very blessed with the good weather, for the good weather and the good sun, as you can take a look outside your window for solar farms. And moving on, because we want to touch a little on Cambodia's electricity power sector structure, right? So right now, yes, we have the government of Cambodia, of course. And under that, we have the Electricity Authority of Cambodia, who plays a role as a regulator. There's, of course, the Ministries of Mines and Energy, who's like a policy maker as well, Kasung Rang Thampol, Kasung Setket Herang Tho, Ministry of Economic and Finance, who co-owns EDC with the Ministry of Mines and Energy. So this is just to give you a little picture, a little, dip in the water of who regulates electricity in Cambodia. And I guess keep an eye on EDC, because they're like one of the bigger regulators here. These are clean energy in Cambodia, companies in Cambodia. So we have Camworks, Total Solar, we have Solar Green Energy, quite a lot of companies, EcoSun. These are all local and all developing many good projects here. Some more companies, the Bluecircles, as I mentioned, doing wind farm in Cambodia. They also do a lot of projects in Vietnam and Singapore and COM in Asia, etc. And as for development partners, of course, the ADB supports a lot of these projects. We have UNDP, we have Chica, we have Australian Embassy, and of course, UNIDO, the UN Industrial Development Organization as well. And finally, it is important, as I've mentioned, that we shift towards the global trend, because many businesses will find it difficult to stay in Cambodia without clean energy. And here's a specific example, actually. RE100 is like a combination of, lobbyer of in charge of a company, world's most influential companies. We're talking Carlsberg, we're talking Nike, H&M, Target, and these are all, and Aeon as well, as you already know. These are companies who are demanding resource of energy to come from renewables, clean energy sources. So what are the implications if this doesn't happen in Cambodia? Well, they might pack their bags and leave, because Vietnam is doing great, Thailand is doing great. So Cambodia needs to do better to be able to retain these big companies, to be able to retain ultimately the jobs in our country, and to ensure proper and future development as we continue to industrialize our country as well. And finally, I wanted to start by kind of tying all these little bits to our social development goal number 7, which is affordable and clean energy. Sustainable, sorry, I've been saying social. What's the goal here? So SDG 7's goal is to basically ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Think about that. Affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern. I see already two words that you've mentioned here with clean energy. So to me and to us all, it should make sense that we want to shift towards this clean energy trend. And the question is also, why do we have this goal? Well, it's important because a well-established energy system supports all sectors, as we've mentioned before. Businesses, small or big or medium, medicine, education, agriculture, you need electricity, infrastructures, buildings, schools, communications, and high technology, of course. So really, energy is important because it is the bare bone of our lives. We wake up and we use energy. We go to sleep and we still use energy. So it's really important for us all to care about. Yep, so as you all know, global electricity use is rising rapidly. So in a nutshell, without a stable electricity supply, countries will not be able to power their economies. Think about that. What happens when we run out of fossil? What happens when we run out of oil? Do our economies just stop? Well, it's not too late yet. We can still pivot. We can still get into renewable energies. And that is exactly why we are working so hard to bring attention to this. Because clean energy sources will ensure a sustainable development while preserving our environment. So I wanted to end with a question for you. And I want you to get on this website, Menti, actually, that I will be sending on chat to you. Chat. Where is chat? So please kindly get on there, and I will get on there as well, and answer this question that I have for you. What would you think Cambodia would look like in 2050, right? If we were to have new energy projects that were renewable. So take a minute or two, take your time, imagine it, think about it, and type in the keywords that you can think of. So give me a moment. I'm going to pull up your answers, and please feel free to continue to put it in. Let me reshare my screen. Okay. Okay, I hope you're typing words in. Perfect. So we have economic prosperity. Does anyone else have anything? So the link is in chat. Please go in there, put in the words that come in your mind when you're asked this question, and we'll proceed. Or you can also type it in chat, by the way. Don't feel like you need to go here. It's just that it's pretty word cloud. So are there any words at the moment?
So people become healthier.
Thank you.
Let's find the link.
Oh, it's all, sorry, yes, it should be all attendees. My apologies. Here we go. This is the link. You should have it now. Thanks for letting me know, Alia. All right, so we'll give a few more minutes because it's sending. Oh, there we go, finally. Yay, it works. Amazing, look at that. Sustainable energy infrastructure, economic prosperity, clean. Okay, we'll wait for a few more minutes. Please don't be shy. There we go. People become healthy. Amazing. Clean, sustainable, yes. So we've touched on economics, we've touched on the environment, we've touched on lifestyles, ecosystem, a healthy country, amazing, nice weather. Yeah, I would like some nice weather too. That's amazing. Okay, perfect. Well, I think we have it. I think that the big key message that I wanted to send through this webinar is with you guys as young leaders. So we care about this topic because we want Cambodia to look like this in 2050. We want it to look sustainable. We want it to look clean. We want nice weather. We want people to be healthy. And of course, out of all else, and well, last but not least, definitely, we want economic prosperity without having to compromise our environment for it. So let me bring us back to our slides. And I guess that was the end of my presentation. I would love to answer any questions. If you have any, please type it in the chat. And otherwise, you can always definitely reach out to us at EnergyLab if you're interested to, find out more about clean energy, find a career in clean energy, or if you just want to have a chat about the nice weather that's caused by renewable energy. All right. So, any questions? Perfect. Looks like there are no other questions, but please hang in there because I would like to send you some feedback, a feedback form for you to fill out, by the way. If you fill it out, you will get a certificate of completion for this webinar as well. So, Bompakun, do you mind sending it? Oh, wait, we do have questions actually. 1 second. Normal household, where are the affordable clean energy that we could find? That's a really good question, and that's a really good question because, well, normal household can find clean energy from solar panels. Of course, that's the easiest answer. But also, it's important that we're actually hoping that EDC integrate more clean energy, and Mapokon, you can jump in on this, into the actual grid, like from EDC, from EDC, so that our household can use energy that's generated by renewable source. So there are two ways, I think, in my opinion, from the grid itself, EDC, and from us in smaller sense, like solar panels, etc. You want to add more, Hoko? Okay, thank you, Bo. As far as we experience in AIESEC, when it comes to SDG and issues, we as youth don't think of this topic, energy as topic priority. Well, that is true, and I really do hope that you guys keep in mind this as well. But that's one thing I really like about AIESEC. You guys always talk about SDG. And to be honest, I wish I was an AIESECer back in university, but I'm too old now. Personally, I think that clean energy can be pricey. Therefore, how can Cambodia afford it? So, but as I already presented, I think it's a bit of a myth that clean energy can be pricey. It's actually like the price is reduced very drastically now. And I think Mopakon, you want to touch a little on the price of clean energy here.
Yes, I can touch upon on the cost. So in 2010, if you look at the solar PV alone, it's actually 0.38 cent. It's around $16, 16 real, 1,600 ក្នុងមួយ kilowatt. But if you look at 2021, actually, a year ahead, it's actually the 100 to 200 ក្នុងមួយ kilowatt. So, but people like think that it's expensive because the upfront cost. Because if you look at the solar panel, if you have an upfront cost, it's kind of costly. But if you think about the return investment for 10 years, you can it's gonna pay back all of that. So if I hope that's answered the questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Mopakon. Maybe you can also touch on the where do you get the data for the energy mix?
Yes. So if you go to an EAC website, type EAC and then you go to the website on the top left of the, top right on the screen, you can download a document that they talks everything about energy. And it's really surprising because ministries barely give out data to the public to see, but EEC last year, 2019, they produced these amazing documents about the consumptions of electricity in Cambodia from hydro, from solar, from coal as well. So I encourage all of you to go there and look for that information. And if you still can find it, you always can call me or text me or email us. We will love to help you on that one.
Thank you so much, Mopakon. another question was, why don't youth have similar levels of interest in this topic, or like quality education or climate change? That's a really good question. In fact, I have the same question. And in my theory, I think that it's because it's not as daunting and we don't see it every day. But I think we live through that effect every day where it's like storms are heavier now, you know, like it's so hot outside, and, you know, in colder countries, the climate can get really extreme. So I think we're finally starting to care about these topics that we thought once a while ago that was so far away, you know. Now we can actually close our eyes and think, oh my God, in 10 years, it might be really hot outside, you know, and the air I breathe might have particles in them, and that's not healthy. So yeah, I think that's why the level of interest is changing. Could you recommend any shops or companies I could go buy solar panels? We actually don't deal with that specifically, but you can definitely go on our website and find our partners. I'm sure they do sell that, right?
So I just want to add on that. Can you mute yourself? So if you go to Clean Energy website, it's called Clean Energy, or from EnergyLab. We have a whole documents there that you can read all about clean energy and energy in general in Cambodia, and also all the company that we listed on our presentations are also had it on our website as well. So if you go there, you will learn more about everything clean energy.
Thanks, Mapakon. Tom, that's a great question. Which clean energy do you think will be most effective? And Mapakon can touch on this a little as well. But I think that, I mean, depending on the region, right? Some regions might be windier, some might be more sunny. So I think it's a really hard question to answer because it depends on where we are. If it's on top of a coal mountain, then maybe we can harvest wind energy, but not necessarily solar because it's a bit sometimes sap, you know, like cloudy. So Bapakon, maybe you can touch a little more on that as well.
Yeah, I think you already said what I meant to tell on these questions. And also looking out for development partners like that Nia was mentioned in her presentations. Those development partners are working on renewable strategy for Cambodia. And I don't, at the moment, we don't have a document that published yet, but if it does, I will share with the AIESEC with further notice. I think like in those in the study as well, they study about which location is the most possible to solar as well as wind. So yeah. And in terms of energy, which thing most effective for Cambodia? I think solar and wind. Yeah, but also like to make why. Another questions might come out of this is like, why don't we use, like for the clean energy enthusiasts, like why don't we want just the solar and wind? Solar and wind, you have to know, is a variable technology. Why you can't get suns 24/7. It's only when the sun rises you get the electricity. When there's wind, you get electricity. So it's variable technology. That's why we need hydro. That's why we need a little bit of everything to come in to make it more resilient and reliable. But not to say to discourage no clean energy, but because clean energy is provide as the benefits, you know, clean, fast, and everything. So yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I have just sent a feedback form. If you fill it out, you'll get a certificate of completion. And finally, oh, there are more questions. Yeah, we can answer them if you want. Yeah. Good solar panel and stuff like that. Yeah.
Can unmute yourself. Okay, perfect. So Aliyah asked, if I want to have my own solar panel at home, how much could it possibly cost to a system? To be frankly honest with you, I don't know. But I don't know how much approximately cost, but the only thing I know that if you have panel installed at your house, you're gonna have economic paybacks or return on investment, which means once you install it, you're gonna get your electricity for 5 years or 10 years without paying in that period. So it's kind of pay you back.
I know if you really want to look for one, Global House does sell solar panels as well, because we have some at our house for like little lamps in the house. So you can definitely check Global House out. Yes, this is not a sponsorship. They're not sponsoring our website. I'm joking. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. A special thanks to AIESEC team who's worked with us so hard to get this webinar happen. We hope to collaborate with you guys again. Of course, I always love some good AIESECers. Always have good conversations with you guys. And all the best for your future careers and opportunities. And I do hope to see some of you again in the clean energy sector. Thank you, Bopakun, for helping moderate. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you so much, everyone.